He's a French speaker, but he will try to speak in English because nobody will understand. So, karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is it clear? Yeah, thank you very much, David, and would like to greet all of you and say welcome to this session. I will start with a group discussion, and let me suggest that we sit in our school group and we respond to this question about the characteristics of the desired theological school. I know that you have been attending so many meetings with ISET, with ACTI, with scholar leaders, and also elsewhere. You may have a picture, a vision of a desired theological school, what you would like your school to be. So my question now is, in your school group, you write down maybe just four characteristics. For you, what would be the desired theological school? And you just write it down because we will come back to your list as we will evaluate what you have decided. So we can have like a 5 minutes to respond to this question. The desired, as you see your schools, you may say, we dream our school to be like this, in whichever area you think this is your aspiration, the desired theological school. Please remember to write down, and because we will ask the report later on. We would like our school to be this. Excellent in what? Excellent in what? How do you move the cursor?
Do you have the little thing on the side?
Oh, no.
Here.
Oh, okay. So we need. Okay. You can put here. Okay.
So, and then it
Okay.
just
Okay.
moves.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Maybe 2 more minutes. Okay, I think we can let us share our findings before we move on. We start with this table, just one characteristic of your desired school, just one.
Just one.
One.
Academically vibrant.
Academically vibrant. Okay, here. Just one characteristic.
Financially self-reliant.
Financially self-reliant. Okay. Okay. Here. Competent student. Okay. Here. Good facilities. Yeah, good. Thank you. Spiritually vibrant. Okay. Okay. Just one. Here. Sorry? Oh, holistic. Okay. And here? Mission. Okay. Here? Sorry? Okay, accessible. Accessibility, okay. Diversified, okay. Over there? Church focused. Okay, thank you very much. And David told me to come and share with you some of my thoughts on contextual theological curricula. And those who were at the first General Assembly in Kenya, that was in September, this was my presentation. Because after more than like 20 years working in a theological education, I feel like theological education that we are doing in Africa is contextualized, but is not contextual. And this has been the discussion between David and myself. When you look at the paper, the title for my presentation is Contextualized Theological Education. And I told David, no, I'm not going to talk about contextualized. I'm going to talk about contextual. So there is a big difference. In 1972, this man from Taiwan, Shoki Koe, who was the director of Theological Education Fund from Ecumenical, WCC, came up with this word contextualization. And since 1972 to up to today, we are doing contextualization, taking programs, curricula, books, ideas from over there, and we try to adapt in Africa. That is contextualization. But if we start from here, it becomes contextual. So I'm not here to share about taking books, ideas, curricula, program from the other side, but I would like us to start from here. And that is why I'm talking about decolonization and decontextualization. For me, the future of theological education in Africa depends on its contextually relevant curricula that guide the training and the research process. David shared with us, I think, 3 items about the future of theological education, including, number 2, adapting to change. Adapting to change. And if our curricula are just the ones we got from the other side since the 19th century, I think we will be outdated, we will be irrelevant, and our theological schools will be this side, and the community, the church, the population will be the other side. So last year, I was in Kenya in our Tier Fund meeting, and one lady stood up because she was in charge of devotion that day, and she made this statement. She said, "I'm not the follower of theology, but I'm a follower of Jesus." I think when you look at this statement and you are a theologian, you will not be in peace. And that was my case. So next day, it was my turn to preach, and I responded. I said, to be a good theologian, one must first be a good follower of Jesus. To be a good follower of Jesus, one must be a good follower of Jesus' theology. So theology should not be seen as a bad thing. You see? But the way we do our theology shows that the theology becomes useless. That is why that lady would make that statement. I'm not a follower of theology, I'm a follower of Jesus. And this is a big accusation for theologians. We are. Those who were with us in Kenya, they will remember this. Professor Lumumba and Professor Jehu were among our key speakers. And Lumumba, when he spoke, he called upon us to re-examine our theology. And he said, we consume theology that we don't produce, and we produce theology that we don't consume. This is a big discrepancy. We consume theology that we don't produce, but once we produce theology, we don't consume because it does not fit with our mouth. And Professor Jehu from Liberia, I think, Sierra Leone, yeah. In his speech, he talked about a call for reformation, and the reformation will be about curriculum content, teaching methodology, contextual relevance, and contextualization. So when I look at theology in Africa, I see an African theologian like this man. What is wrong with this man? Can you see? It's not clear. It's a bit clear. He's trying to see something, the other side, and he has a lot of. So what is wrong?
They should use the ladders.
He has many of letters here.
He didn't use it.
What is wrong?
They are not using the resource properly.
Yes. Yeah, he could use only one letter and see what he is looking for. So when you look at the theological landscape in Africa, it's almost like this. We do have resources, but we think the best resources we need, they are from the other side there. You see? And I tell my people in Francophone, I write a book like this. This is my book I have written. But you will see people trying to go to Europe, to Germany, to Belgium, to France, to look for books. But Fohle has published a book right here. They don't care about. And you know, when Fohle writes something like this, he is trying to address a problem which is around. But when Karl Barth writes from there, he is addressing a problem from that side.
In the 1800s.
1800. So this is actually the situation of theological education in Africa. And we will claim, saying that we have big churches in Africa and so on, but I see this, the message, Revelation chapter 3:1, that you have the reputation of being alive, but you are dead. We have the reputation to have big churches in Africa, but I'm afraid that we will undergo the same situation as North Africa. Remember, before the 7th century, that was the center of Christianity. But nowadays, this is Muslim center. We may look stronger today. We may have big churches today. But if our theology is not grounded from the local realities, I'm afraid that tomorrow, with the influence of secularization, Muslim, and all this, we may lose what we pretend today to be active or big churches. Let me share with you my personal experience. In 2009, I was working on my first thesis at Asbury Theological Seminary in the United States. I worked on a model of missional leadership training in a context of brokenness. Why did I choose this topic? Because I came from a big evangelical denomination in Congo, which used to have 1,200 local churches with 150,000 members. But that big church could not afford a budget of $40,000 per year. Could not afford. And at that time, I was in charge of a mission department, and I came up with this formula, and I say, if each Sunday, each local church gives $1, we would have $1 times 52 weeks times 1,200 local churches, and we would be able to collect $62,400. $1 per week. After 1 year, we will collect 62,400. Now, we had 150,000 members. And I say, if each member gives only $1 per year for mission, after 1 year, how much money we would collect? $150,000 plus 62,400, the total of $212,400 per year. This big church could not afford $40,000. But if we go this way, it's possible to collect $212,400. So what is the problem? Why this big church could not collect this money? Can you guess? Can you guess why this big church could not afford to raise this money locally? Yeah, I see. You want to say something?
Yes, maybe I think because of dependency, something just looking from outside rather than looking into their own resources.
Mm-hmm. What else? Yeah.
Lack of commitment.
Lack of commitment from
The
leaders and the members. Okay. What else? Yes. lack of strategy for collecting money. You know, John Maxwell, this American guy writing about leadership, says everything rises or falls with leaders. I think the problem in this church was leadership, because we had some experience in other areas that people may give, but church leaders, they will use for another purpose. Or church leaders, they don't know how to do strategy, as one of you said here. So when you look at the theological education in Africa, we train preachers of the gospel, but less of them, they are managers or leaders. And look at our theological curriculum. You may not find a course on leadership. You may not find a course on management. You only give what you have. So when we talk about theological studies, this is for Greek, Hebrew, Old Testament, New Testament, and so on. So I think that is why I did this, and I designed a curriculum that was applied in this church, and they raise money. But instead of using that money to send missionaries, they use it to buy cars. And you see also lack of mission, vision for mission. The second experience I want to share with you is, I think some of you may have seen this book, Transforming Missiology. This is my book, published by Langham in 2018, coming from my PhD dissertation from South Africa. So why did I talk about missiological education? Because my observation was that in Congo, we do have so many theological schools like here, but many of them, they don't have a mission department. They don't have a mission department. And if a student is not trained about mission, when he becomes church leader, mission will not be in his agenda. So the purpose of this book, my research, was to say, how should we provide a theological education which serves the church in its mission? I think one group there said they would like their school to be church-oriented or church-focused. How our theological education will be in the service of church and its missions. So in this book, again, I designed a curriculum on missiology and so on. Number 3, when you look at theological education, and this is from the Francophone perspective, I don't know if in Anglophone perspective you face the same problem. When you are looking for your PhD, you are working on your PhD, there are things that they don't teach you. And once you have your PhD, they will say, please become dean, academic dean, vice chancellor, please publish books, publish articles, please supervise the thesis, and so on. But when you look at the curriculum on doctoral studies in Africa, you will not see any of those topics being taught to PhD through publication, through research, through how to supervise the thesis, and so on, because they did not learn that. And if we all only comply with the curriculum that we got from the other side, there is no class for those who have already PhD, so they know everything. I think having PhD does not mean that you know everything. So I think in theological education in Africa, we need to revisit our curricula so that the training or the education that we are provided should align with the need of the church and the community. I just wanted also to share with you this experience. During the COVID, when people were locked, I started this platform of bringing theologians together through a WhatsApp group. And nowadays we have 840 members coming from different theological orientation, countries, universities, and so on. So last year we had a consultation on African theology. Which kind of African theology we are working on. So this is interesting. I wrote a paper in which I tried to survey the historical perspective of theological engagement in Francophone, which can also be applied to even Anglophone, to see how theological education in Africa has undergone some steps from Western classical theology to now the need for contextual theology. Interesting enough. And that time, I explained to my friend that we need now to revisit the concept that we got from our colleagues. Contextualization sounds good, contextualization. It sounds good, but in practice, it means taking things from the other side and try just to adapt. I told my colleagues that it's like someone who is wounded, and you come, just patch the medicine without cleaning. So contextualization is like we are just taking medicine and patching. So time has come for us first to remove, to clean, and then patch the medicine. I think this is a big challenge for us. The future of theological education in Africa depends on the curriculum that we will be providing. That is why I'm talking about decolonizing or decontextualizing theological education. Let me save the time by sharing with you the importance of curriculum. I got this from the book. I think Professor Emiola was the deputy chair of ACTI. He is until now. Yeah, yeah. It was when he was admitted to emeritus, and they published this book. And I like what is stated here. The contemporary world is critically ill. Issues on daily news from both electronic and the print media confirm this. The situation is more critical in Africa because of the prevailing existential problems. The purpose of the church is to bring shalom to the world. Yet, the church must be healthy to achieve this purpose. It is only a healthy church that would help a sick world, and a theological education is critical for bringing any church to a sound health. And this is a strong statement that we need to take into account. The world is ill. It needs a healthy church. But to have a healthy church, we need relevant theological education. So please help me to answer to this question. Which one comes first? Chicken or the egg? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. From a biblical perspective. Yeah. But as you see the world today, I think the answer will not be easy. Will not be easy. I think this question can also apply to relationship between church and the theological education. Which one comes first? Mm-hmm. The church comes first. Yeah. Yeah, though the church may come first, I think there is one time you can see that I think theological education is very important because those who will go to plant church, they are the one who has been trained. And they go and they plant church. And they lead the church that they plant. And at some point, we may also say that theological education comes before the church. At one point, let us say we don't have a church in Awasa. So you say we need to send someone to plant a church. So what between the church and the pastor comes first? It will be pastor. Pastor is the one to go and plant a church. So that is why I say that sometimes we may say that theological education precedes, and sometimes the church which is established will now send people to theological education and so on. But there is a big relationship. You cannot separate theological education from the church. Because theological education is there to serve the church in its mission. So let us give the floor to Sam to come and report the findings. What is your impression? What is your observation? What are your comments? The question is the characteristics of the desired theological school. When you compare your first list and now that you have compared those three lists together, what is your comment? What are your observations? We start with this group. Yeah.
We see a gap between the
For that reason, what would be the desired theological school?
A theological school which is contextual to address the need we have, like corruption, negative ethnicity, so many the list that we have.
Mhm.
So our theological education needs to fill in that gap.
Yeah. So the observation is there is a gap between theological education and the need and also the mission of the church. Yeah. Another group?
In our group, we saw this, as our sister said, there is a need. We see like ethnicity and law in Africa. Actually, this time actually we have this problem, and the church need to respond to this need. The church to properly respond to this need, yes, theological educators, theology schools need to prepare a curriculum, as you have said, and we need to train our students to respond to this need. I think the process is excellent, like seeing the need and let the church respond, but the church need to be assisted by theological institutions. But there is a need that we discuss in our group. The problem of in Africa today, what we see is, I think I'm not going to quote John Mbiti negatively, but what we see is today in Africa, for example, in Ethiopia, there is a traditional religions revival, so much. And so there is, we started to see that these traditional religions are influencing the churches. And the churches, actually, until now, we are actually keep aloof ourselves, and there is a lot of syncretism. Because I think when I'm talking about this, I think our Ethiopian friends, they understand. We have actually traditional like Recha, Chambalala, and lots of these things, you know, in the name of culture. And these are actually coming up very strongly. And you see a lot of syncretism, and the churches did not respond to this need, to this problem. And we see some churches, even pastors, are seeing that, okay, this is tradition, this is culture, and but you see what is going on actually in the river. Animals are slaughtered, and people actually put blood, and a lot of things are going on, which we see is something that should be denounced. But we have actually a problem now. I think there is, when it is clear like corruption and ethnicity and all that, yes, the church can respond. But when there is issues like this, I think John Mbiti very strongly influenced African theologians. I think as Actia and also as a theologian, I think we need to really, because now Ethiopia is facing this challenge, and we started to see that no difference between the cultural influence, cultural religions, we call them, and so that kind of thing, I think, should be addressed. This is the concern that we started to see. Thank you.
I think my time is over, but in conclusion, we can see that there is a gap when we look at the need around us and we see the responsibility of the church. We see that our theological education sometimes does not really help the church to address the problem. There is a gap. And this exercise that we did shows how you can design theological curriculum. Instead of just taking topics from West and try to adapt to us, I think we need a paradigm shift. We need to sit down and we look at around us and come up with a strong and relevant curriculum instead of just copying, instead of only adapting. So that was the essential of my presentation. I think with David and Ati, you may have opportunity